Hi, this is Melanie from Hook to the Left. This is the next episode in my Stitch Study series. In this episode, I will show you how to complete the double crochet stitch. Here on Hook to the Left, you will find a new video each week. There is a new Stitch Study series episode every Friday. And then every Wednesday, I upload other things like tutorials or yarn hauls. The most consistent thing that you will find on this channel will be the Stitch Study series being uploaded every Friday. If you have an idea or something that you would like to see on this channel, please put a comment down below and I will be happy to take a look at that. Now, on to the tutorial. So as I've been doing in the other episodes of the Stitch Study series I have been doing 3 colors and I do swatches. So my swatches are 25 stitches long, and then I create the length or the height, depending on how you look at it, to match what this is. So for this particular project, you will need yarn. I'm using worsted weight. You want to continue using the same weight that you've been using for the rest of the series in case you would like to put all your squares together and make a quilt or a blanket out of it. You will also need the corresponding hook for your yarn. Since this is worsted weight, I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook. And these are clover hooks. These are my favorite hooks. And I will have a link to the set down below if you're interested in trying these hooks. I've used other ergonomic hooks, but these are by far my favorite because of how smooth they are to use and how smooth this metal is. It's like butter. You will also need these are called wool needles, but this will be to thread in your yarn, thread it through your work. So these are my favorite because they have the flexible eye, the really big flexible eye. I tend to use the orange one the most, and I'll also have a link to these down below if you're interested. You also need a pair of scissors. These are a pair of traveling scissors. I won't have a link to these down below, but because they came as part of a pack for something else. But these are a pair of traveling scissors. But you will need a pair of your favorite scissors. And since you are going to be measuring this to make sure that you have the equal length and width, you will want to have a measuring tape. So now let's get started with the video. First, you want to make a slip knot, and I am assuming that you already know how to make a slip knot. So if you don't, then please go to the very first video in this series, and that would be for the single crochet, where I do the slip knot a few times very slowly, and then I also chain a few times and do that very slowly as well. In this particular case, I'm going to assume that you already know how to do both of those, and we will go through those pretty quickly. So first, let's go ahead and make a slip knot. And then, since this is a double crochet, I need to chain 25 plus 2. Now you would think 3, because sometimes you chain the 3 or plus, yeah, plus 3. But we'll do plus 2, and then we'll crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. And the reason for that is that chain counts, that you're lifting up counts as a double crochet. All right, so let's go ahead and chain 25 plus 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll meet you at the end. 25, 1, 2. Okay, now that I've got my chain completed, I'm going to go ahead and do a double crochet in the 1, 2, count down 3, and then in the 4th chain from the hook, I'm going to do a double crochet. To do a double crochet, you want to yarn over, put your hook through the chain, yarn over again, pull through. Now you've got 3 loops on your hook. So you want to yarn over, pull through 2 of those loops. Okay? Now you have 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through those last 2 loops. And that is a double crochet. All right, so this, now you've got 2 stitches on your chain. That's your chain 3 right there, and then your double crochet stitch. All right, so let's do that again. Yarn over, go through the chain, yarn over, which I kind of already do that, and then pull through. Okay, so you've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, leaving you 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull through those 2 loops. And there's your next double crochet. Let's do this 3 more times and then we'll go to the end of the row. Yarn over, put your hook through the chain, yarn over, pull through, and that has 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through those last 2 loops. Let's do that again. Yarn over, go through the chain, yarn over, pull through that chain. That leaves you 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, then pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through those last 2 loops. One more time together, and then we're going to finish out this chain. Now, I told you before, and I've told you this at the beginning of each of my stitch study series, is I'm making mine 25 stitches long. You do not have to do that. You can make it as long as you would like to, and then you just make it square in case you want to go ahead and use this in your blanket. So let's do that last stitch before I let you go on alone. Yarn over, and put your hook through your stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull up that loop. So now you've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through those 2 loops. Okay, so let's go ahead and do those over and over again until you complete your chain, and then we'll meet back again. Okay, and now I am at the last stitch on my first row from the chain. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and do this last double crochet on this row. So I'm going to yarn over, put my hook through the chain, yarn over, pull through that chain, and pull up a loop. So that leaves you with 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through 2 more loops. Okay, so that finishes my first chain, and just like I mentioned before, sometimes you'll find that you start to get a little bit of a curl here, and even I still do that sometimes, and that just means that your tension on your chain was a little bit tighter than the tension on the stitches, so you get that little bit of a curl. This will end up working itself out either as you're doing the whole piece, or it'll work itself out when you block it. So you can stretch it out a little bit and it'll start to work itself out, and you can see here my bottom rows are all straight. So it always works itself out. You do not need to be a perfectionist. That can sometimes be a killer of creativity. So you just want to work through it, and it will work itself out, either with the warmth of your hands working on the piece, or just working with the piece in and of itself. It'll start to stretch out and be even as you anticipate. If you find that that's just not happening and you're getting a lot of curl here and it's just your tension isn't working itself out, what you may want to do is consider moving up 0.5 millimeters to a larger size just for that chain stitch, just for the chains, and then moving back to your regular hook for the rest of the work. But that's if you're finding that you're not working out your tension on your own. I would suggest just practice on getting that tension straight on your chain stitches. That way you don't have to flip around and always be carrying two hooks. Okay, so moving on, we're going to chain 2. Now, oftentimes you'll find that people tell you to chain 3 when you are doing the double crochet. In this particular case, I prefer to do a chain 2. Now the reason for that, I'm going to show you this in these pieces. This is where, just make sure you can see it, this is where I chained 3, and you see those big gaps in the side there. And on this piece I chain 2, and you find there might be a little bit of a gap here, and there's tricks that you can do to even get rid of that gap, but that's for down the road. We're not going to do that just yet. But you can see that the gaps are considerably less significant. So I choose to chain 2 as my turning chain. So 1, 2, and then turn my work. Now remember, on this, unlike the single crochet, we are not going to go into this first stitch because we are counting this chain 2 as a double crochet. So our first double crochet stitch will be in this stitch right here, the second one. So it'll be that we're not going in there, we'll be going right here. Okay, and then that way it'll keep your rows even. So to do the double crochet, you yarn over, put your hook under both loops of that stitch. See? So it looks kind of like there's 4 loops on your hook. Then you yarn over, pull through both of those loops. So now you have the 3 loops on your hook that you're used to. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, let's do that again. Yarn over, go through the full stitch, which has 2 pieces on your hook, including your 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through the stitch, and pull up that yarn. So now you've got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, now again, yarn over, go through the whole stitch on your hook. So you've got the 2 pieces of the stitch, the 2 pieces of the V, see each V as you're going down. Okay, and then 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the full stitch, bringing up that loop. That leaves you with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2 more. Let's do that one more time together, and then we'll meet again at the end of the row. So yarn over, put your hook through both stitches or both loops in the stitch, yarn over, pull through the stitch. That leaves you with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, So it looks like you've got 4 loops on your hook. Pull through those 2 loops. Now you have 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. Okay, so now you have your chain stitch and 4 double crochet stitches in your row. So let's continue on down to the end, and then I will meet you there. Okay, I'm almost to the end of my second row. I only have 3 more stitches to go. So let's do them together so you can see how you go into the chain. So you yarn over, go through both stitches of both loops of the stitch, then pull through, yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, then pull through the second 2 loops. Let's do that again. Yarn over, go through both loops of the stitch, yarn over. I did that kind of quick while I was going under. So yarn over, pull the yarn through and pull it up. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. That leaves you with 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through those last 2 loops. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the chain. So this the top of your chain, which is right here. Okay, so you never want to forget that when you're doing rows like this. So yarn over, go through the top of your chain, yarn over, pull through that chain that has 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the second 2 loops. And now you are done with your second row. Okay, and sometimes you want to lay it down, take a look at it. I stretch it out a little bit because, like I said before, I often get tight tension on this bottom with my chain. Okay, so there are your first 2 rows. That is are. All right, so there are your first 2 rows. Let's do another row together, and we'll do the first few stitches together, and again meet up at the end. So chain 2, 1, 2, and then turn your work. Okay, as I mentioned before, we are not going to go into this first stitch because we are using this chain 2 as a stitch. We're counting that as a stitch, so we skip this first stitch and we will start our stitches, our double crochet stitches, into the second stitch or the second V of the row. That's 1 V, 2 V's. So we're going to start right here, and that's where we're going to put our first double crochet. So yarn over and then put your hook under both loops, and I just did the first loop right there, so I got to fix that. All right, both loops on the hook. Okay, then yarn over and pull through the full stitch and pull up that yarn, and now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So let's do that again. Yarn over, go through both loops on the stitch. Okay, yarn over, pull through and up. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. One more time, and then I'll leave you to your own devices. Yarn over, go through both loops on the stitch, yarn over, pull through and pull up a loop. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, so now you've got your chain 2, and then you've got 1, 2, 3 double crochet on your hook. Okay, now don't forget, you want to be counting your stitches to make sure that you have the right stitch count from bottom to top. So for me, that's 25 stitches. I will double check these and make sure that there are 25 stitches. And for you, it's whatever stitch count you chose at the beginning. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish those double crochets in this third row, and I will meet you at the end of the row. Okay, So now I'm at the end of the row. I need to do one more stitch to finish out my row, and that stitch goes into my chain. So I yarn over, I go in, put the hook through the top of the chain, and then yarn over, pull through. That gives me 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through. Okay, so that is 3 rows of double crochet and then 1 row of chain. Now let's move on to the next row. I'm going to do a couple of stitches with you, and then from there I'm going to go ahead and leave you to finish off your square. For me, that is 14 rows total. For you, it may be different. It all depends on your tension, and also, you know, how many stitches you chose to have across, and of course what yarn you decided to use and what hook size you're using. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and turn and do a couple of double crochets after the chain. So let's chain 2, 1, 2, turn your work. Okay, and again, we're not going to go into this first stitch. We're going to go into the second stitch because we are counting this chain as a stitch. So yarn over, go through both loops in that stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and then pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and 2 more loops. Okay, let's do that again. Yarn over, go through both loops on that stitch, see the V, yarn over, pull through, so you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, I'm going to let you go through and finish this off on your own. Okay, like I said, for me, since I'm doing 25 stitches, I need 14 rows of double crochet for me to have a square. You will need to use your measuring tape to make sure that you are making a square, okay, based on your yarn size and your hook size and how long you have your beginning chain be. All right, so meet you up at the end. And here we are at the end of this square. If you find that these tutorials are being very helpful for you and you find them value added for your stitch repertoire in your learning of crochet, then please don't hesitate to like and subscribe to my channel and like this video. And make sure you hit that bell button whenever you subscribe so that you get notified every time that there's a new video to this channel. Next week, you will get the triple crochet. So this week we're learning the double crochet. Last week, actually it was 2 weeks ago though, we learned the half double crochet, and in the next episode you will get the triple crochet. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button to get a reminder. So let's go ahead and finish the square. Okay, so I have 2 more stitches left in this square, and I'm going to yarn over since we're doing a double crochet, then put my hook through both loops in that stitch. So you see there's, looks like 4 loops on there, but this is the stitch. Yarn over again, pull the yarn through, so you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, then pull through those 2 loops, and now for the final double crochet stitch. Yarn over, go into the top of the chain 2 from the previous row, and then yarn over, pull through, so you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, then yarn over and pull through 2 more loops. And that is your square. So we're just going to fasten off, yarn over, pull through, snip off the end of your yarn, and finish pulling through the rest of that, and tug on it to tighten it. So now all we need to do is thread in our ends. Since this is a double crochet, what I like to do is bring this yarn down so that I can pull through the stitches here. So I just go through the stitching, the double crochet stitch, get my yarn in through my loop there, pull it out a little bit so it doesn't get stuck, and pull down so it goes through that end stitch. Okay, and now I can send it through those loops right there where it went through the stitches on the previous row. And that is what I'm going to do now. So just go through a couple, okay. Let's see, 5 stitches. Put my yarn through. I know I'm a little bit backwards compared to some, but that's the way I like to do it. Okay, and then pull through, and then send my needle back through the way I came, except for I went over. See here, I go over this stitch so it doesn't feed and unravel what I just did basically, and feed my needle back through, and pull through. And I want to go back through one more time. You want to try and do 3 total times, and that'll really secure your yarn in place. So feed it back through. There we go. Stretch on it a little bit so it doesn't pull it too tight, and then snip your end. Okay, and we just need to do the other end in a similar manner. Now these, your loops are here where it went through the chain, so that's where I'm going to feed my yarn through. And that's a knot down at the end, so it looks like I may not be able to send it through more, go back and forth more than twice. We'll see. I'm going to try and get 3, but it's not that big of a deal because this is a nice tight knot down at the end. So pull that through. And feed this through. Double crochet is a very common stitch. It's one of the favorite stitches, especially whenever you're doing something that's more of a mesh stitch. Okay, I got a little bit more there to pull through, so I'm just gonna feed that back through so I have it through 3 times and really lock in the yarn, lock in my ends. And there we go, loosen it up a little bit. All right, so now we're done. Okay, so now I'm going to bring out the previous stitch work that we've done so you can compare the different stitches. So this here is a double crochet, and this,
okay, I found this on the web for this year as a double crochet. Check it out.
Siri gets confused sometimes, so he was just talking to me. But right there is your double crochet, and right there is your half double crochet. So let's just kind of zoom in on the 2. This is your double crochet stitch, and this is your half double crochet. Now let's go ahead and compare it to the single crochet. Again, this is your double crochet stitch. This is what we just did, and this is your single crochet. You see there's a big difference there, huh? Double crochet, single crochet. Okay, so next week we will be back in the same time and place, and we will be doing the treble or triple crochet, and that is American terms. We will be using the same yarn, same hook, everything. So Again, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to hit that bell button so you get reminded whenever I post a new stitch study. We will see you next Friday. Thank you for joining us for the double crochet stitch study. Bye bye.